Hey everybody, what is going on? Serial Overdrive here, and today I'm playing Rust. What I'm going to be doing today is showing you guys the top 2 beginner bases in Rust. So these are the 2x1 and the 2x2. These are very popular bases. Pretty much every player starts out building these things. So if you're new to the game, this is how you want to start. So now if you're in a high combat area, which means you hear a lot of gunshots and you're new to the game, you probably shouldn't be there. But if you're a little bit more advanced, here's how you're going to want to start. You're going to want to build a 1x1 square box. You're going to want to upgrade that box to stone, and then you're going to want to drop a TC or tool cupboard in the very corner. Make sure you align that with the corner because tool cupboards are not movable. Also lock the tool cupboard just so you can add a little bit of extra sort of oomph. If someone tries to raid you, they've got one more lock to get through. You know, is what it is. Anyways, now you can throw down a sleeping bag and a box. These are both movable, so don't worry about where you've got to place them. So that is our 1x1. This is a high combat scenario, and this is not what you want to have for the rest of the game or even for the rest of the hour. So let's build our 2x1. This is what it's going to look like. You've got a sort of 2x1 area where you can build, and then an airlock. An airlock's a safe space where you basically have 2 doors. You should only have 1 door open at any given time, and that's going to keep people from just running into your base and stealing everything. If you only have 1 door, you open the door, someone shoots you, runs into your base, takes a bunch of stuff, and then runs off. Tough luck. If you've got an airlock, then as long as you keep 1 door closed at all time, if someone shoots you, they can get into your airlock, but they can't get into your base. So this is what everything's going to look like. It's fully upgraded to stone. We've got our doors on, and it's somewhat safe. Someone can still blow through these wood doors, but it gives you a little bit of time to prepare. Also, the way these wood doors open, you can peek out and you're going to be able to close these doors if someone gets in. So if someone gets into your airlock, you can just close the door to your base, and then you wait until they leave and you're sort of good to go. Or you can try to do some weird thing where you close the outer door, close the inner door, and hope they don't get inside. And now you've got a player stuck in your airlock, which is a pretty good scenario. Assuming they can't blow through it, you're going to get some free stuff. So now let's take away that double door that we added and put down some actual stuff that we need. First things first, you want to put down a sleeping bag. This way you can spawn into your base if anything happens. Next up, you put down a furnace. The furnace is there so that you can smelt ore and get some metal fragments. Once you've got metal fragments, build a workbench. So this is going to be a level 1 workbench. Once you place this, you can't move it. You're going to have to destroy it when you want to build a level 2 workbench. But it's no big deal, just know that you can't move it, so make sure you align it right. I'm putting it right here, so when a player goes to look into this base, all they're going to see is the tool cupboard because of that angle they get. When you put your door on, always make sure that it's angled sort of in, so when the player can peek in, all they can see is the walls, so they have no idea what you're doing. You could be getting your gear, they can't shoot in at you, all they can do is hit this workbench, which isn't a big deal. Most players aren't going to do it unless they're trying to grief you. Anyways, now that we've got all that, upgrade to some iron doors or sheet metal doors, whatever they're called. Put those doors on, basically. And once you've got those doors on, now it's time to actually get to the fun stuff. So let's put in our let's put our furnace over here. Let's put our sleeping bag down over here, and now let's turn this sort of tool cupboard room into a storage room or loot room. This is where we're going to be storing all of our loot, and the first iteration of this is going to look something like this, where you've got 2 big boxes and 3 small ones. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take that furnace away and just drop your boxes like this. Don't be afraid to pick things up if you're having trouble putting stuff down. Everybody does it, and that can make things way easier. Sometimes like a furnace or a blueprint table or something like that's just blocking you. Don't be afraid to pick it up. Next up, we're going to create this. You're going to put a triangle here, you're going to put a half wall, and then you're going to put a floor tile, a triangle floor tile. And this is going to be right by where your tool cupboard is, that sort of square. And this is going to allow you to build a, not a half wall, but a triangle wall halfway up into your base. And this is going to allow us to do even more as far as storage goes. So you can put your big loot box here, or another big loot box here. And then you put 3, you're going to put 3 small loot boxes here, 1 there. I like to do this one first because that one's got to line up best. And then you put another small container, small loot box right there, and there we go. So right now we've basically got 3 small loot boxes on the bottom, 2 big loot boxes there, and then on the top we've got 1 big loot box and 3 small ones. Now if you do have it, put in a sheet metal door. I hate double doors because they just look weird, especially in a 2x1. They take up a lot of space. Sheet metal just raises it so much smoother. Double door will work, but sheet metal is better. Also notice how I did pick some stuff up before I put down that door. That's because it was blocking it, but you can put it back down once the door is in. Now I put a large container underneath that blueprint table. You're going to want to do this with every blueprint table if you can. And I'm going to put down an extra furnace right here. So this is for those of you guys who want to get the most oomph out of your base. It's going to make it way harder to navigate, but you're going to be able to do it. You're going to still be able to fit your sleeping bag in there. And when the doors close, no one can see your sleeping bag. So that means people can't destroy it, which is always good. Make sure if someone gets into your airlock, they can't destroy your sleeping bag, because that is a worst case scenario. So that's it. That's our 2x1. It's a pretty simple build. It is a little complicated when it gets to some of these things like having two levels and extra loot boxes and all that, but you could just get rid of that extra level and you're good to go. Now let's jump into the 2x1. So with the 2x1, we're going to do the same thing that we did with a with the 2x2, we're going to do the same thing that we did with the 2x1. I misspoke there. So you're just going to put your walls down, put your ceilings down, everything like that. You don't want to let the rain in, you know. Do what you gotta do, put your doors in, upgrade everything to stone. Always upgrade to stone. If you're in a pinch, you can upgrade to wood, but I'd always recommend just upgrading to stone. Make sure the doors open the right way too, because if they don't, it can be rather annoying, and usually you're not gonna figure out that that's an issue until someone's in your airlock and you're like, oh shit, we've got an issue. And that is not the situation you want to be in. So let's go ahead, upgrade everything. I'm always upgrading the floors. There's some people that don't think you need... we're not going to debate that here. This is a beginner guide. So next up, now you've got two options with this base. You can build a wall sort of by one of the squares that opens up to the door and put your TC on that side. You turn that wall into stone, and then people have to go through three sort of double doors to get to your TC. Or you can put your TC in the sort of corner that's diagonal to your door, and then you just upgrade everything. You put in some doors, and you're basically going to have 4 doors in that are going to open like this. If it's wood, it's going to look a little crazy, so what you're going to want to do is put down your furnace, upgrade everything to steel, and put in some sheet metal doors. And now it's going to look like this. And while we've got a little bit of a break here, always remember, like, you can play with these designs, and especially for 2x2, this is something where you could actually have like 2 or 3 players living in the same base. So don't feel like you've got to do the same design as me, because what I'm doing is I'm designing this for a solo player. There is going to be some room in the airlock for an extra bag. That's the same with my 2x1 design, but this is mostly for a solo player. So now we're going to do the same thing with that, sort of adding an extra shelf. So we're just building our triangle foundations out here, and we're going to put in this wall, put in a floor right here, and then we go over to the other side, and we're going to actually be able to just put in some triangle shelves like this and upgrade those to stone. Always make sure you destroy that outside, because if a player sees this, they're going to know that someone a little bit more advanced is building, and that means that there might be better loot, so they're going to be more likely to blow into your base. The goal here is to make something that looks like a typical 2x1 or a typical 2x2, but gets you just a little bit more oomph, a little bit more storage space. You can see right here, I've lined 3 boxes up, 3 large boxes up like this, and then we're going to put 1 large box up top on the shelf and 2 large boxes up top on the shelf and 1 small one. And in the bottom, we've got 3 large boxes and then 3 small boxes, just like this. When you close the door, one of those boxes is probably going to stick through, but it's not a big deal because it's sticking through into your tool cupboard room. If a raider's gotten there, you're sort of screwed, so it is what it is. Next up, we've got this different sort of formation of boxes right here for a second loot room. That's going to make it easier for us to get to the TC. So we're basically going to do 3 large boxes like this, and then we're going to just put in 3 small ones. So what this does is just makes it a little bit more, well, a little bit easier for us to get to the tool cupboard. And that's something that we're going to need to do regularly, and it's going to make it easier for us to get to where our sleeping bag is right now. So yeah. There we go. We've got our 3 large boxes, 3 small boxes on the bottom. Now we're going to put in the boxes up top. So again, we're just going to do 2 large boxes and 1 small box. You can play around with this and probably make it a little bit more efficient as far as shelves and all that goes, but we're not going to bother with that now. Now the tool cupboard, I'm going to put that over here the workbench I'm going to put right by the tool cupboard, because I think that's a pretty good place for it. And right by the entryway, we're going to put a lot of furnaces. So once players have blown through those first 2 doors, all they get is furnaces. It's going to suck. They're going to hate it. Maybe they give up raiding you there. I've had some people blow through to my bases. They get to that initial room, and when they don't see any loot, they just get discouraged and leave. So yeah, we've got our tool cupboard here. We've We've got our blueprint table here, and we've got our workbench here. So when someone blows in, if you've got a level 3 workbench, they don't know it until they've gotten to your tool cupboard. And I like that design because it means that players won't know exactly what they're getting into until they've made it all the way into your base. And at that point, you know, it's sort of over anyways. So yeah, we're going to put our sleeping bag here. You can see it took a little bit of maneuvering to get that down. We're going to put another small box down in front of the sleeping bag, and then we're going to need to put 2 small boxes down in front of under the blueprint table. I was not able to fit a large box here. If you play with this design, you might be able to get a large box in there, which is going to give you 1 extra row of storage. So here we go. We've got our furnaces, everything's ready. That's our 2x2, that's our 2x1. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in and explore these things, see how they look in their finished form. And also I'm gonna show you guys just how many resources it takes to make it, and then what the cost per 24 hours is for upkeep as far as the 2x1 and 2x2 go. Those are going to be in the right hand side. If you don't know how to read, I don't know how you got to this video, good luck in life, buddy. Anyways, so this is what our finished 2x1 is going to look like. You've got your storage up here, you've got your storage down there, your tool cupboard. That room is just packed with storage. It's a little bit messy. It could be, you could sort of, there are some trade-offs, right? Like you could open things up by taking out this one little small furnace that I've got here. There's some stuff you could do, but overall I sort of like this design because it gives you a lot of storage space, and it gives you the ability to refine a good deal of metal and sulfur, especially for the base size. And for this 2x2, you've got the same deal, right? You can put in an extra furnace or something like that if you really want to burn things a little bit better, or just, you know, refine more metal fragments. You can play with this design if you don't need as much storage. You could turn one room into just a dedicated smelting room. That's 100% possible. And with a 2x2, there are a lot more options than a 2x1. So this really is up to the player, but this is sort of a very good newbie design. And typically what I'm going to imagine is you're going to be putting in these extra loot boxes and stuff like that as you go. You don't want to start a base and have a bunch of empty loot boxes, but as you go, you're going to put more and more loot boxes in as you get more and more stuff. And finally, if you really do need extra loot boxes, you can do something like this, where you put in, you know, an extra large and an extra small loot box. But again, by the time that your base is packed with loot, you're probably going to want to be building a second base, a main base. You're going to want to be checking out Evil Worst's channel. He has a ton of cool bases and cool base designs, so I'd recommend checking that out because his stuff is way more advanced. This is just for a beginner, and this is just going to be enough to get you guys started into the game, and maybe get to that sort of middle tier where you actually stand a chance fighting players with AKs and stuff like that. Anyways, I hope you all liked this video. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, feel free to leave them down below. If you have any video requests, again, feel free to leave them down below. I've got a pretty cool base design for a new sort of take on a 2x1. And hopefully you guys are going to like that. So that's going to be coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. If you like this video and you want to see more, make sure you hit the subscribe button and say, hey, Serial, what's up? I'm going to respond to all your comments, or at least I'm going to try. And that's that. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Until next time, peace.